Hello, and thank you so much for joining us today as we discuss our Family and Parental Involvement Committee here at John Bishop Elementary. We are so thankful to have your attention today and to be able to share with you a little bit about what we have learned regarding the importance of family and parental involvement on our student success. And we look forward to sharing the ways that we can get higher numbers of parent involvement to support that student success with you today. So let's dive in. So this is our team. I am Reagan right here. These are my two lovely teammates, Miss Mariana Geron and Miss Isabel Stymax. So we are proud members of the Parental Involvement Committee here at John Bishop Elementary, and we definitely understand the importance of family involvement at school, and we recognize that it supports student learning. We look forward to fostering a welcoming community for our students and their families here at John Bishop Elementary. And that's sincerely yours from Mrs. Cooper, Miss Stymex, and Miss Chiron. So diving into parental involvement, the first thing that we should make clear is that there are some major influences of family involvement in the schools. These are the things that influence how much we see of parents at school and how much support that they are able to provide their students at home. So there are four major things we're going to talk about today. The first is the parents' past experiences in school, whether that be their experiences as a child or their experiences sending their older children through school, just any experiences they've had with school and any preconceived notions they may or may not have about school and what goes on there. The second thing is cultural diversity. And this really comes into play when we have a family whose culture is not the norm for the school. And when that happens, they can sometimes feel like outsiders, and it just gives them this sense of hesitation when it comes to involving themselves in their students' schooling and studies. And so we're going to talk about that a little more today and some ways to combat that, make sure that our families are feeling welcome at our school, no matter what cultural background they have. The third thing is work obligations. So it's important to know that many of our students' families work outside of the home. And what we have to think about with that is a lot of times moms and dads are dropping kids off and going straight to work and not returning home from work until much after school dismisses. So when we think about things like parent teacher conferences that occur in the middle of the day or the early afternoon, class parties, ceremonies, award assemblies, everything like that, it's important to note that just because a parent is not attending these events during the day, it does not mean that they are not interested in their child's schooling or education. It just means that they might have some other obligations that are important for them and their family that they have to take care of, and that keeps them unavailable to attend some of these things. So number four is the perceptions of available opportunities by the parents. So nobody wants to feel like a bugaboo or a pest to the school teacher or to the school, the admin, anything like that. So some ways that we as teachers can combat this are making sure that everybody feels welcome, inviting parents and families into our classrooms, into our school often, and with specific days and times that they can come. What can they do when they come? We're going to dive into all that here in just a second. So, circling back to that first thing that we discussed, parents' own experiences in school. So, like I mentioned, parents' memories of their own school experience can affect their level of comfort in attending school events, things like teacher conferences, parent teacher conferences, and engagement in their child's classroom. Things like class parties, assemblies, volunteering as a room mom, things like that. So, we know that if past experiences were positive, that means that parents will be more likely to engage with their child's school and schoolwork at home. However, if past experiences were negative, that kind of leads to parents not being as communicative and less confident in their ability to assist their child academically. And sometimes they'll hesitate to come to school and be involved, especially when their memories of school are not so fond. That might not be the place they want to return as adults. So, what we can do to combat this and help parents who have negative experiences with school feel more welcome, we can make sure that they have ways to help at home if they are not comfortable at school. So as teachers, we should provide specific ways that they can assist their child at school or at home instead of at school. And research does show that parents do not have to be physically present at the school for them to be involved and for that involvement to support student learning. And another thing to keep in mind is that, and this kind of ties into the cultural element that we're going to talk about in just a second, but another thing to keep in mind is that sometimes parents don't speak the same language as their children or as the teacher. So what we really want to make sure we avoid is ever having the student act as the translator during the conference, at the parent teacher conference. Something that we can do to make them feel a lot more welcome and a lot more comfortable is making sure that we set up to have the assistance of an interpreter or translator present during that conference. That will really help make the parent feel more comfortable and welcome in our classroom. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. Moving on to cultural diversity, which kind of ties into the language aspect that I was just discussing. So differences between the home culture and school culture can influence parents' involvement in their child's education and interaction with teachers. This includes things like holiday celebrations, discipline forms, timelines of how fast children should progress with their development, interpersonal mannerisms like handshaking or touching or eye contact. And then it's also important to note that parental participation is influenced by how the school and teacher respond to certain instances like name calling, bullying, or social rejection. So the main things to take away from that are that every culture is different. If you have a child in your classroom that does not fit into the mainstream culture of the school, it's important to learn about their culture and show genuine interest to gain knowledge about their culture so that you can make sure that you are accommodating that in the classroom. You don't want to do things like, if you have a Jehovah's Witness in your class, they don't celebrate birthdays. So you maybe want to find something else alternative for them to do or somewhere for them to go so that they are not participating in the celebrating of other children's birthdays. But you want to do so in a way that doesn't make the child feel like they're being punished for their culture. And then this also ties in with handshaking, touching, and eye contact. Here in the States, we perceive eye contact as a way to show that you're listening. Some cultures are a little bit different and they perceive eye contact as a sign of disrespect. So sometimes if that's the case with a student's culture, they may be hesitant to show eye contact. And this is where the discipline would play in, because think about how the parent would feel if we as teachers are disciplining their child for adhering to their own culture norms. Right. So we want to keep that kind of thing in mind. And this is where having conferences and talking with the parents on open house, meet the teacher night, making a home visit if you need to, picking up the phone and making a call to find out a little bit more about the culture that's practiced at home. That way you can make sure that you're accommodating that at school. And that is exactly what it says down here in the bold print. Teachers should establish a learning community with parents that fosters clear and open communication. Exactly. Having that open line of communication will help you to understand your students and families' cultures, and that way you can make sure that they are being celebrated in their own way in the classroom. They feel welcome and invited to learn and participate in our culture. And we can make our own culture inside of our classroom that involves everybody's culture. So we could have 2 or 3 cultures in our classroom and make one culture out of all of that, taking a little bit to learn from everyone and making it a place where everybody, kind of like we see here in this graphic, everybody's putting their own little piece of the puzzle in to make this beautiful multicolored puzzle piece. Okay, moving on to the third thing, a little bit more in depth, is parents' work obligations. And like we discussed, many of our students' parents have jobs outside of the home that take them away from the home during the day and have them returning in the late evening. And when they return, they're really tired. So we want to keep in mind parents' work schedules and how that might make it difficult or even impossible for them to attend classroom visits and conferences throughout the day. We don't want to assume that if parents are not able to attend these things during the day, that they are uninvolved or that they don't care about their child's education. They simply are having to meet the needs of their family and work to earn a living. So what we can do as teachers is provide parents with different times and different ways to conference about their children's progress. Maybe that's going back and forth via email or text, or maybe you set up a way to have a phone or Zoom conversation with the meeting with the parents when they're available. I know as teachers, it's important that we maintain our contract hours and maintain a proper work-life balance, but there are ways to do both. You can maintain a proper work-life balance and still find a way to communicate with your students' parents in a way that works for them. Maybe that means that you spend 30 minutes of your planning time doing something that you need, making your grocery list, so that you have a little bit more time that evening to hop on a Zoom call with a parent and do a conference. So it's a give and take. And as you can see, these parents in this graphic here are very, very overworked and looking overwhelmed. They're being pulled in a million different directions. They've got their suit, their briefcases, their animals, their pets, their children, and they are looking like they are just so overwhelmed. So if we can do anything to ease that load and make their life a little bit easier, I don't see why we shouldn't. Definitely make time for parents that are very busy. Okay, so parents' perceptions of available opportunities and involvement. So parents' decisions to participate in their children's education are based on their own perceptions of the available opportunities for involvement in the classroom. So we know that parents don't want to feel like a bother, and it's important to communicate opportunities with parents communicate opportunities for involvement with parents in a way that lets them know they're always welcome in the classroom and gives them specific opportunities to come and visit and volunteer in our classroom and at our school. So what we can do to make sure that parents aren't feeling like a burden, or they're not feeling like there's nothing for them to do or they're not welcome, we can offer a wide range of opportunities for parents in school and at home. Like we discussed, not everybody has the means to be able to volunteer at the school or attend all the school functions due to their work schedule or their own comfort level in schools. So it's important to make sure that we are in providing ways that parents can support their children at home, support them academically at home. Maybe that's reading with their child every night. We give a guided reading log. Maybe it's helping with homework. Maybe it's doing some sight word flashcards. Maybe it's doing a family project about their culture, about their family heritage and history. Just things like that, providing opportunities for fun projects for parents and students to do at home that support academic needs and help our students get that quality time with their parents that's so much needed. So when it comes to in-class opportunities for involvement, what we need to do is make sure that it's very clear when they can come, when they're invited to the classroom, maybe to read a book to the class for story time. Maybe it's for career day, and we have some parents with some really cool careers who can come and share if their work schedule allow, of course. And so ways that we can make this really clear and avoid miscommunication and things like that are to use, there's several different services. My favorite is SurveyMonkey. It allows parents to sign up for a time that they would like to come, that they're available to come. It shows them all the options so that they are able to choose the one that fits them best. And it avoids double booking. You can also use invitations, but SurveyMonkey, Google Forms, they're just a little bit more user-friendly, I think, and they cut down on miscommunication a lot. So those are some great ways to make sure that you are inviting your parents and families into this classroom, into the school, and also meeting the needs of parents who are unable to make it to the school during the day. So in summary, it takes three. Our student is at the top of our pillar, right, our triangle right here. And on the bottom, we have two people supporting that student, the parents and the teacher. So it's important that we work together as a team to support student learning. It really does take all three of us. And like I said, it's great that parents can come up to the school for award assemblies, ceremonies, graduations, class parties, volunteering at the school, everything like that. But parents can do just as much, if not more, by supporting their students at home. And sometimes they just don't know what it is they need to do to provide that support. So as a teacher, if you can provide them with some ideas and opportunities to be involved with their students' education at home and at school, you are covering all your bases and making sure that your parents have every opportunity they can dream of to be involved in their students' education. And that is truly the best way to support student learning through family and parental involvement. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you've learned something. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us at familyinvolvement@jvelementary.com. Our phone number is also there, as well as our website and social media pages. So please reach out to either myself, Ms. Yvonne, or Ms. Stymax. We are happy to help. Thank you so much and have a great day.